This week on Moulz Mel at the Movies, we discuss the Oscar-nominated 2003 film 8 Mile, directed by Curtis Hanson, and starring Eminem, Brittany Murphy, Mekhi Phifer, Kim Basinger, and Michael Shannon. A young rapper struggling with every aspect of his life wants to make it big, but his friends and foes make this odyssey of rap harder than it may seem. This week on Moulz Mel at the Movies, let's go see 8 Mile. Welcome to Moulz Mel at the Movies.
That was pretty good. Did you write that?
Yeah, that was all me. Right here on Moulz Mel at the Movies, a subsidiary of Rap Rankings.
Yes.
And perhaps if any of you are listening to us right now, isolated on Letterboxd, welcome.
Welcome. It's my first time being on that website.
Well, folks, we got a big one for you today. We had to start big this season. Moulz Mel at the Movies. 8 Mile.
Oh, okay. You talking big. I'm thinking like, what are we doing? Citizen Kane?
8 Mile.
This is 8 Mile. Okay. Yeah. All right. How you doing today, Moulz?
I'm doing quite well, Mel. How are you?
I'm all right. Just woke up. Had a dream about that 8 Mile, actually.
I've had dreams of many miles.
Okay.
Many miles. But we're here to discuss the film 8 Mile, which is part of our larger review of the soundtrack on Rap Rankings. But we are here today to discuss the film. So I know you got a chance to watch the film this week. I actually watched it last night for the first time since it came out.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty similar for me. I mean, of course, I saw it when it came out, just like you did, I presume. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was my first time in years, and I noticed things that never noticed before. Granted, when I first watched it, I was young and probably shouldn't have been watching it, but you can't keep a sensation away from a young kid, you know?
Hey, I think I saw this one on a bootleg DVD.
Oh, well, I saw it on a stolen Hollywood video rental VHS.
So
someone in the house rented it and never returned it.
Dubious beginnings for sure, but we did rectify that with a nice 1080p copy here this week, and it was my first time seeing the film in true HD because I certainly didn't the first time around. So we've both seen the film, but this is our chance to revisit it. You didn't get a chance to see it anytime between the release and this past week, Mo?
No, of course. I saw it shortly after its release, and then I would see it like TV edits throughout the years, but not like the dedicated, like, it's actually kind of hard to remember. Like I remember scenes being cut out because of course there's like a explicit scene in here, a couple actually. Yeah. And, when I first saw it as a kid, I'm like, oh, no. And like, I was such a good boy. I covered my own eyes, even though there were no adults around. But on the TV edits, I think they removed those scenes. But like the battles and the cursing, I would love to rewatch a TV edit to see. I wonder if it's like BET levels of editing. Like, yeah, damn that brother,
the rap battles specifically. Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, are we starting out with ratings here?
I think we should. I mean, this is Rap Rankings. Do you want to explain what our rating system is?
I guess I should do that, right? Okay. Well, usually we use these for this rating system for albums, but
yeah, but just explain to them what the 1 to 10 means.
Right. Okay. So, basically 10 means, it wouldn't be a song, a perfect movie to me. One of my favorite movies of all time. 9 means I love it. 8 means I like it a lot. 7 means I like it. 6 means it's alright. I don't dislike it, but I can't say that I like it. 5 means I feel practically nothing about this. 4 means it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but I dislike it. 3 means I dislike it. 2 means I hate it. And 1 means I absolutely can't stand it. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I guess I should also tell them, side note, if we add a plus or a minus to the movie rating. It has no mathematical or statistical value. The pluses and minuses just mean one of two things. Either one, it's like a light or strong version of that number, 6 plus, strong 6, 8 minus, light 8, or an indication that the rating could go up or down in the future. Because the way we do things around here, Rap Rankings headquarters, is the ratings aren't static. So, you live, you learn, you grow, things can change. So those pluses and minuses allow for growth and change. So I think that's pretty much it, right? So,
and keep in mind, right here on Moulz Mel at the Movies, we do have a segment called "I Was Freaking Trippin'," and
we're censoring it.
And if we were freaking tripping or frickin' tripping about something, we're welcome to come back and revise our.
I prefer freaking.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess when we're at the movies, it's, if we were wrong about a rating or changed our mind about a rating, rather, because there's no right or wrong, then we have a segment called I Was Freaking Trippin'.
Okay. So, you know what? Before we get into our rating of the film, I think we should explain to everyone who's listening right now what kind of movies we're into, some of our favorite movies, maybe. I mean, who are we?
Oh, we're doing that?
Why not? Man. They don't know who we are. They don't know what kind of credentials do we have. We review rap albums, right? What do we know about films?
Well, I mean, fair amount. You probably more than me, but hey, if I would have known he was going to do this, I would have been better prepared. Well, listen, I'm Mel. I like movies. I like many kinds of movies. I don't really have a preferred genre of film. I don't consider myself to be a snob of any sort. Like my diet isn't completely like, critical darlings or anything. I like my fair share of, quote, trash. I like my fair share of critical darlings. I like what I like. I feel like I put on the spot. If I think of any of my favorite movies, I'll let you know later. But right. I'd like to pass the ball to you.
This is Moulz, the man who's got cinema on his back.
Oh dear!
I am the I don't know what you say, the captain. I am the director of the ship, and I have to say I love the films. I'm a big physical media collector. I've been collecting movies on VHS and DVD going back more than 20 years now. Got into collecting Blu-rays like 7 or 8 years ago, and I mean, I really don't have a specific, I would say like I wouldn't say that I'm a film snob. I also wouldn't say that I just exclusively dabble in cult stuff, but I'm a big horror fan. Anyone that knows me knows that's like my first love with the movies is horror movies. I love classic movies, like so classic horror is, I guess, my main thing. Old like Universal monsters and Hammer, Amicus, Vincent Price, stuff like that is my favorite. But I like the 80s slashers too. I like the 70s stuff, some good 90s stuff. I'm a horror fan. But I like classic films, old movies, if you will, film noir. Stuff with like, I don't know, Bogart, Cagney, that kind of stuff, up to like the big Scorsese guy. I like the good stuff. But
I would go even further back for you. I know you're a big fan of that. Freaks.
Oh, I mean, Freaks is my favorite movie of all time. Also a big fan of that Bride of Frankenstein. I got it tattooed on me. Night of the Hunter is another one I love. Citizen Kane, Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Those are like really good movies though. I also dabble in stuff like, I don't know, look at my Vinegar Syndrome shelf. Some stuff like, Spookies and Tammy and the T-Rex and stuff like that is good too. So I don't know. I like cheesy B movies. I like art house stuff. I like classics. I like some modern stuff, recent stuff. There's good stuff lately. I think some fake movies that come out, but I like some of the new stuff as well.
I'm sure over the course of this show we'll explain what fake movies are.
Oh, absolutely.
There's plenty of time for that.
Some, I don't know, last decade. What did I like? I liked Take Shelter with Michael Shannon. He's in this movie.
He is in this movie.
I liked Foxcatcher with Steve Carell and what's his face, the Channing Tatum guy. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Uncut Gems, good movies.
I think I got it.
Recent movies,
I got
good
it.
ones.
Not a fan of figure out how to.
Not a fan of fake movies though. Not a fan of those.
Yeah.
If they don't play in the movie theater, they're streaming only. I don't like them. I like fake movies from like the 90s, like straight to VHS movies and stuff, but I don't like these fake streaming movies. That's all you need to know about me. Let's get to 8 Mile.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to tell him I finally figured out, I guess, how best to describe my taste in film. Like, I saw Citizen Kane for the first time like 4 or 5 years ago, and I loved it. It's like probably a 10 out of 10 for me. But it's also like a 10 out of 10 for me? Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. So,
Yeah, I love both of those movies. Those are, so. It turns out Mel and I have actually more similar taste in film than we do in music. As I'm coming to find out.
Probably, actually.
Because we would... Probably. When Mel and I would make music together, every week we would watch a new movie just to, get a little bit of inspiration. And more often than not, we felt similarly about the movies we watched. But in doing this show and doing the rap songs, we could be... we could maybe be two guys no more different than one another. So...
I would say, like, as far as the Venn diagram goes, we definitely share more with film than music. It's like a larger.
Well, it's funny. We have like a lot of the same. I think we have a lot of the same philosophies as it pertains to like professional wrestling as well. I think we like a lot of the same people. We sort of look at the wrestling business the same way. But when it comes to music, we respect one another's opinion, but certainly don't always agree as
we're not
listeners
polar
of the show.
Opposites. But
no. But we disagree more often than I think I expected when we started this show.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we made music together for so long that I was so used to agreeing with you on music.
Well, that's because we were making music together.
Exactly.
So we had to both be satisfied. But when it comes to other people's music, it's talking about that. It's different.
For sure, but
I think we found a similar vision in the stuff we were trying to create together. But that's a galaxy far away.
That's Moulz Mel.
8 Mile. We're in Detroit.
We're in Detroit, right? And I've been to Detroit. I think I talked about it when Guilty Simpson, me and David stranded at Detroit Metro Airport.
Yeah, you told me about that.
So I've been to Detroit.
Sorry to hear it.
I gotta say, the Detroit in 8 Mile is certainly grungier than the one that I visited, although I won't take anything away from the grunginess of Detroit. It was certainly there. First of all, let's just give our ratings up top.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, 8 Mile from Mel, gonna give it a flat 8.
Nice. Well,
I like it a lot.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't like it a lot, but I do like it. 7. Flat 7.
Wow. What would you look at that? What would the Moulz Mel rating be, like a 7.5, basically?
Yeah, there you go. So 7.5 for 8 Mile. Let's talk about it.
All right. Well, we can talk about it. I'll tell you this. Just as a whole, as far as, because we talked about this off air, this is not a straight up biopic. It's like a pseudo autobiographical story about Marshall Mathers, Eminem, Slim Shady.
It's certainly not a complete work of fiction, right? But it is not in any way, shape, or form the Eminem biopic.
Why I bring that up is because, for me at least, and I don't know how this is for anyone else, sometimes it's easy for me to forget that this isn't like a step-by-step recreation of his life. I have to remind myself that this is Hollywood. This isn't how his life happened. He didn't he battled, of course, coming up as a rapper. Of course, but he didn't have this huge battle with the free world that eventually snowballed into signing with Dr. Dre.
No, that's Hollywood. That's
not how it happened.
But even to an extent, the events in the 50 Cent biopic, Get Rich or Die Trying, while the events aren't necessarily exactly how it happened, and there's a little bit of that Hollywood, a little bit of that Hollywood sprucing up of the story.
Yeah, we embellish things in Hollywood.
It is a lot more of a biopic than even this is. This is
right.
I came away from this last night after I had watched it thinking this is a lot less of a biopic than I ever thought it was, and I knew from my first viewing many years ago that it was not a straight up biopic, but it kind of really slapped me across the face this time where it's a film that almost it's an Eminem vehicle. It cashes in on the Eminem hype in a way that stays sort of like grounded in what we know him as a rapper, but it's a film about B Rabbit, not about Eminem.
Right. B Rabbit isn't a real man. He's a man sort of modeled after Eminem or Marshall Mathers, but yeah, he's not a real guy. The Free World isn't a real group. And in real life, it ain't a movie. There's no Mekhi Phifer. Like, there's no, as far as I know, real parallel in Eminem's actual life to that character in the movie, And even with all that said, because we talked, previously about how that kind of bothers you about the film, because we know so much of Eminem's story going in. It doesn't bother
me about the film. It bothered me about the film.
Oh, so it no longer bothers you?
Not really. Like, I have a new problem with the film now.
Oh, that's not good. You want to tell me what's your problem? What's your malfunction?
Oh, we're just gonna get to it right here?
If you want to, I mean, we could we could drag it out.
I think for the interest of the show, we shouldn't, because it has to do with the ending.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'll just I'll keep saying. Well, you previously were sort of taken out of the film because we know so much about Eminem's real story from his albums leading up to this film that when you watch the film, it's like, this isn't the story, and while I understand
in a way that like when people who read a book go to see a film adaptation of the book, sometimes they say the book was better. And that was something I heard a lot growing up. Like, I would watch movies and people would just say, oh, the book was better. Well,
oh yeah, they always say the book was better.
This isn't, Eminem is an artist, but like his lyrics are the books, so to speak. So when I was younger and I initially saw this film when it came out, I was a big Eminem fan, and I was a little disappointed because I felt like, I know the real story. This is like, because I treated it like a biopic. So going into it, I was expecting the Eminem movie. And coming out of it, I was like, that wasn't the Eminem movie.
Yeah, that was the B Rabbit story.
Yes. So now going into this film in 2021, I'm obviously not going into it with those same expectations.
Okay. Well, yeah, I never really went into it back when I was like, what year did this come out? 2002?
2002, yep.
Right, so I was 9. I was, 9 is very young, but I never went into it expecting like a full-bodied Eminem biopic, and I never really have. I always just kind of appreciated it for what it is. It's sort of like loosely inspired by, and it's its own story.
I was 15 at the time.
Okay. Yeah, so I could understand at that age being disappointed because it's like, oh, come on, like I thought this was going to be like a, scene for scene recreation of everything I heard across Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP.
Means like I've been aware of Eminem since I was 12 years old. So it's almost like, you can't fool me. This isn't the real story.
Yeah, I always just was okay with it being its own thing. There are instances though where, trying to think of an example where I feel how you previously felt, because it's like, this isn't the story. If it comes to me, it'll come to me. But I understand
there's a reason for this, though.
What, for them sort of not doing a exact Eminem story?
Yeah, it was actually Eminem who requested it. He was keen on the film not being an autobiographical piece because he felt that honing in on his own history would limit the storytelling and characterization. So basically he figured, if we create a fictional character that's loosely based on me, you know, we would be a little more unrestricted in how we can tell the story and how he can actually perform in the role.
It's a pretty smart move, you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight,
I mean, well, this is his first time being on a set, right? He's not an actor.
Yes, and another interesting fact about this movie, he is in every single scene of the film. So this isn't a film where...
I don't even know if I noticed that.
He's... Obviously, there's some people of, you know, with acting pedigree. You have... this is a couple people's first film, by the way. This was Anthony Mackie's first film.
Was it really?
Yes.
Huh.
And then he, I believe, the following year, he went on to star in She Hate Me, which was directed by Spike Lee. But this was definitely the first time I ever saw Anthony Mackie.
I know for me it probably was. I'm just surprised to hear that this was his first film. You know, now that I think of it, like what you just said about him being in every scene, that makes sense. This isn't like they never cut away from it. There's never like activity going on that doesn't involve him.
Exactly.
You know, like it's never like a scene with like just his mom and his sister, or like just Future and like his boys. You know, he's always somewhere.
Well,
around,
this is what's interesting to me about that, right? Because he's the untrained actor here, technically. I mean, I'm sure he did a little bit of coaching and stuff, but compared to everybody else, even Anthony Mackie, this may be his first role, but he doesn't have the star power of an Eminem to just walk on a movie set and get a role. He was definitely acting in theater or in independent productions prior to getting a role like this. So, you know, Eminem being the least trained actor in the film, my takeaway was he was the best in the film. And even like, you know, Michael Shannon was good. He's one of my favorite actors. He's in that movie Bug. I know you've seen, by William Friedkin, which is probably my favorite stage play adapted to a film ever. His performance is absolutely incredible in that movie. Michael Shannon has been, you know, the highlight of a lot of movies that he's been in. He is not the highlight of this film for me. He's good. Brittany Murphy, good. Eminem, very good. The child actor who plays his sister was good.
Willie.
Yeah. A lot of times child actors, you know, they could be a little come see, come saw. And then Kim Basinger, like arguably the actor with the most chops in the entire film. I found her performance to be a little hammy and melodramatic, and the Southern twang was like turned up a little bit too much for Detroit.
No, maybe she's a transplant. You know, I don't know.
I wasn't, that was the fakest thing about the movie to me. The less well-known the actors are in the movie, the more almost realistic or naturalistic feel I get from them.
I follow you because, like, I definitely notice now watching it at 27 years old how many, I mean, how would I say this? Like, how many, like, filmic qualities there are. Like, you know, of course, in Eminem's real life, he's coming up with, like, D12 and probably various people in Detroit. But here, they've surrounded him with this, like, very movie-like group of friends. You got, like, they're like archetypes. You got the goofy, dim-witted but big-hearted guy, Cheddar Bob. You know, there's like, you know, just sort of like the big brain, the dude with the glasses. I forgot what his name was. I don't even know if he had a name. You know, with like the head wrap. You got the sort of heavier dude. You know, and then you got Future, Mekhi Phifer, who's like you just said, like the actors that are most known don't quite melt into the world as much as Eminem does. You know, like they stand out.
Mekhi Phifer, I think his acting in the film was good. I think he looked a little ridiculous.
Well, they gave him a Rasta wig for some reason.
I have no idea why.
Detroit to me, but
and I was saying to you on the phone earlier, I think he's meant to be playing Proof, But Proof is actually in the film. Proof being...
He has a cameo.
Yeah, a member of D12 and Eminem's real-life best friend.
Yeah, very beginning, he raps against B-Rabbit, causing B-Rabbit to choke, and freeze up. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny, his real friends are in there, but like, these Hollywood friends he have here in this movie, they just kind of vary in effectiveness. But
I think Proof would have been better in that role.
Perhaps.
Of Future. Because again,
to see that.
It's just, I'll say this, Brittany Murphy, in her, I would say, has like a limited amount of screen time compared to, say, Kim Basinger in this film, but she blends in a lot better.
She seems like she would be a part of that environment.
But in real life,
that makes sense.
Her and Eminem had a romantic relationship briefly that spurred from being on the set of this film together. So the chemistry between them is believable because it was real.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Learn something new every day around here. Well, for what it's worth, even though like some of these people blend in with the location and the tone better than others, I know why this happened, or at least I think I do, because in Hollywood, when we're making movies, you kind of have to endear us to the protagonist. Maybe Eminem's real life friends don't seem as didn't seem as recognizable or as relatable as like everyone has the friend who's a little slow, but you love him. We got the friend who like is like your best friend who's trying to like help you out. Like that would be Future. You got the guy you make fun of for being an egghead. It's like, we know these types of people. Like I said, they're archetypes. So we're making a movie loosely based on Eminem, so we have liberties we can take, and I'm okay with that. There's something I wanted to point out about this movie. I think even though it's, like you said earlier, a vehicle to like sort of capitalize on the hype of Eminem at that time period, early 2000s, it works as a movie and not just an Eminem fest, which is funny because like apparently he's in every scene. Like it's I think a testament to the film. I feel like it has a solid foundation, a solid plot. It makes you want to find out what's going to happen next. It's not like, as an Eminem fan, I don't think you would watch it and be like, oh my God, like I just want Eminem. Like who are all these other people? Like they do a good enough job to where you're actually invested in what's happening. It's like I've seen certain films where it's like has a recognizable person who is maybe from outside of Hollywood and you only really care. Great example, when I was growing up, Scorpion King. I don't know about you, but like I went to see that because The Rock was in it.
The Rock, exactly.
And anytime The Rock wasn't involved, I just didn't
Even
care.
though I actually didn't go see The Scorpion King, I saw The Mummy Returns because The Rock was in it as the Scorpion King. And that was the first movie role.
That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, you're absolutely right. Yeah, because The Scorpion King was his own solo film.
That was his
The
own
Mummy
thing.
Returns. That's what I'm talking
I
about.
waited to rent The Scorpion King on like DVD or something. I'm pretty sure The Scorpion King was it was a spinoff. So
it was a spinoff. They gave him like because
Mummy Returns came first.
Rock.
That's where he was introduced as that character.
That's where he had his role. Yeah.
Yes, I saw that role.
And
of course, I saw that.
Yeah. So
I already saw
totally
and loved The Mummy. So it wasn't a hard sell that they're going to do a sequel of The Mummy, which was, it was a little kiddie, but it was a really fun action adventure movie. And, bringing The Rock, especially at that time, 2001, right after WrestleMania 17, if I'm not at the height of my fandom, I'm right outside of the height of my fandom. And I'll put money down on anything with The Rock. So,
yeah,
it existed. The Scorpion King was really the vehicle, if you will.
Right. Yeah. I don't even really remember The Mummy Returns because, like I was saying,
I don't remember a goddamn thing from it other than the Scorpion King yelling and pointing his dagger machete thing at an opposing army.
Yeah, he wasn't there long. Like he perished, I believe.
Yeah,
Spoiler,
he's in the movie for not a very long time.
Not a long time at all. I mean, and like the original Mummy is great. I think it's a great film.
Oh, but I recently
surprisingly,
rewatched
that sequel
actually, last year. It was good.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah, I would like to rewatch that myself. Shout out to Brendan Fraser. But yeah, I didn't get Mummy Returns feelings from 8 Mile. Like, I cared about the movie outside of just Eminem being in it. You know, and I think too,
I cared because it was a rap movie, and I was really into rap. So I was gonna, you know, if it was a movie that, let's say, Eminem wasn't in, everyone else that's in this movie is in it, and let's say Eminem was played by someone else, I still think it was something that I would be interested in seeing at the time.
Yeah, I'd be interested. You know, yeah, because obviously we both like rap, but Eminem, clearly the guy who brought people out of the house, you know. I think as far as his real life goes, what they did capture well, at least I think, based on his music, is that theme of struggle, fighting against the odds. I mean, it's a grim film. I mean, one thing I noticed during this watch is, you know, like really the whole movie, but especially like the shelter, like the location of the battles, like
yes.
What would I refer to this as? Like, I guess the color grading, or like the color grading. It reminds me of the first Matrix. Like, it kind of has that sickly greenish sort of hue.
Yeah, there's it's definitely in those scenes in particular. I think I described it to you as almost deep fried meme-esque because of how the saturation is being played with. It reminded me a little bit of the house in Fight Club. Like, as the house starts to deteriorate, there's, you know, the lighting changes, the cinematography, everything like that, like saturation, almost to the point of parody in this film at points, that I thought they maybe could ease up on that a little bit.
Huh. I liked it. I liked it the whole way through. It felt appropriately like grimy for me.
I think they could have achieved the same effect without going so hard on it, because it's like, we get it, you know, like we understand what you're trying to convey here visually. You can just drop it down a couple, you know, whatever it is, like the opacity or something, you know, like get it a little less saturated.
Okay. Yeah, it's I like the I guess artistic choice of deep frying it. It works for me. I'll tell you where, like, specific instances where I think the people they brought in, like the people they casted rather, where it worked and where it didn't. Like, for instance, you talked about Michael Shannon, who's been great. I've seen now a lot of his films thanks to you, and I think he's a great actor. And you feel like he's really, would you say he's like underutilized, or like, because that's what it feels like.
I feel like he's underutilized. I think he's also standing in the background of a lot of scenes, but not in the foreground. So a lot of times Eminem is talking about him, and he's there, like on the porch, but he's not really. He's there as so they can start talking about him, but he's not there to initiate anything really. He's just kind of there. Of course, you do have the big blow up with him and Eminem.
Well, right, the big fight. But I just want to say, I think he played the role perfectly. And I don't know if it's because he just has like a really stoic, sort of ominous screen presence. Like, I really felt like he was an antagonist. He felt like a heel, like this guy, you don't like this guy. And even though he doesn't have a lot of screen time, that character of sort of like the intruder, like the deadbeat guy that's like dating your mom and you don't trust him. It's like, I know that feeling. So what's
interesting is I thought it was sort of unbelievable that the idea is that they went to high school together.
That is unbelievable. But like, and I guess that was played for comedy.
But you know what's not that unbelievable about it?
What's that?
The fact that, look up how old Michael Shannon is, and now look up how old Eminem is.
What are they, like the same age?
They're not the same age, but it's a lot closer than you would think. Eminem, age 48 years old. Michael Shannon, age 46 years old. He's younger.
Michael Shannon's younger than
Eminem? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 years younger than Eminem. And yet, wow. I'm here watching the movie going, dude, Michael Shannon's got to be like 7 or 8 years older than Eminem at minimum. So there's no way that this guy would have been playing a guy who went to high school with Eminem. And sure enough, you Google how old they are, and Eminem is older than Michael Shannon. I can't believe it.
That's nuts. Well, Michael Shannon, I think, killed it as the, guy who's the age of the son, but dating the son's mom, and he's a grease ball. Like, you don't like him. He's always got a sly comment. He's not a nice guy. He's clearly prone to beating up on Eminem's mom. I think he nails that character. And I don't have a problem with his performance at all.
I have no notes for his performance, just that he's not, as much as he's a central character, he doesn't have enough screen time to really let loose, and I know what he's capable of, so I'm judging that.
He's capable of so much more, which is why I think he did a great job, because even with these limited scenes, I think he nails it. Now, on the other end, you got somebody like Mekhi Phifer, and we talked earlier about how he seems to just you're like, that's Mekhi Phifer. Why does he have these Bob Marley dreads? Like, what's going on here? He has lines.
He just looks slightly ridiculous. That's all.
Yeah, he does.
Coming off of, lines, especially, the movie Paid in Full had not even been out for a year when this came out. So if people knew Mekhi Phifer from that, or from, I think it's all very distracting almost seeing him look like this.
He's looking like that. He doesn't seem like, not so much that he wouldn't be friends with Eminem in real life, but the person he is in the movie almost seems like, it's a little hard to believe, but he gets lines that remind me that it's a movie. Something actually stood out and punched me in the chest. It's built for a trailer almost, what he says. He's like, once they hear you, it won't matter what color you are. That's a bit that. I don't feel like that would have been said in real life. At least not that way.
In Detroit, and that's the Hollywood shit, and that's the screenwriters who are sort of out of touch from the way that people would communicate in Detroit. And this film is supposed to be set in 1995, which, by the way, from opening the film up with Shook Ones Part 2 by Mobb Deep, we got Tupac, we got Biggie, we got a lot of good 1995 rap in the film that's not on the actual soundtrack. I think it's on that 8 More Miles or 8 Miles.
More music from 8 Miles.
Yeah, I think it might be on there. But whoever was the music supervisor for the film, they did a great job.
They had Juicy in there. They had Tupac, Temptations, which I noticed for the first time. That's a record that I've just recently discovered in the past few years. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Spoiler for whenever we do Me Against the World. But yeah, that's in there. Yeah, they nailed the 95 Detroit. The music supervisor did a great job. The screenwriter, for what, that's one moment I pointed out. So, I don't want to make it sound like there were a bunch of clunky moments.
I don't think that it's a film that's poorly written, but I do think it shines in the freestyle scenes, in the scenes where Eminem is talking to his friends and, in the car and whatnot, not him and Mekhi Phifer one-on-one, but more so the group encounters, when they go and they're shooting the paintball gun. I love that scene. That's a scene that I think had completely forgotten about from my initial viewing. And this time around, just that, and they're they pull off, it's the car's about to die. They
that feels genuine. Riding through Detroit with your pals, causing mischief.
Yeah, and there's legitimate tension there. I thought that was just a great little standalone scene that I had totally forgotten about. I felt the camaraderie between them was great. Cheddar Bob, when he says "fuck the free world" in the first battle, it's funny. His delivery of that line is good. There are moments where the delivery of certain lines and the dialogue are good. My biggest issue was with Kim Basinger's inflections as Eminem's mom, really, I think, playing a cartoonish sort of like, like when you conjure up like, oh, we live in a trailer. Oh, we live in a trailer. You know, but not everyone that lives in a trailer sounds like this.
Right. Yeah. She works for me, but I know what you're saying. Because, like, there's something more so than Michael Shannon about her performance that... because Michael Shannon doesn't pull me out of it at all. It's something about Kim.
Nothing
Basinger's
pulls me out
here.
with Michael Shannon. With Kim Basinger, there's like a certain sense of like maybe her physical acting, like with her body, her facial expressions. It all seems really theatrical and overwrought compared to this film that's supposed to be kind of in the mud, you know? Like,
right.
There's
almost like
grittiness.
We're a victim of her being as good as she is. That like she makes it like you never want to penalize someone for doing a great job as an actor. Like it's not that her acting is bad. It's
She's
like
just,
almost
no, her
too
acting is
good
not bad.
for
It's just not right for
story.
This movie. It's not right for this movie. It's not right playing opposite mostly of Eminem. It's just, it doesn't work for me at all. But that's not my biggest issue with the film.
Well, what's your biggest issue? Are you ready to speak about it?
Yeah, I'm ready to speak about it now. I think we've covered a good chunk of the film at this point. My biggest issue with the film now, that I've gotten over the fact that this isn't the Eminem biopic I wanted it to be when I was 15 years old. I'm 33 now. I don't really give a shit. I just wanted to be entertained. Okay. I guess my biggest issue with the film now is he wins the rap battle, and then he walks through the alley and just goes home. Like,
well, he goes back to work.
Yeah, or he goes back to work. Like, that's what he says. He says, it's like, yeah, I got to go back to work or whatever. Cool, but what's going on here? Like, what? So, the big thing is that you won the rap battle in the crowded room.
As we get older, we're kind of like, yo, there was nothing at stake there. You didn't get any prize money. It's like, yeah, they respect you now, but it's like you got to go back to work. You still got to figure out your life, you know?
That's like me going to the nearest basketball court, putting on a great performance after like being the shittiest player who goes to the court every single week. All of a sudden, I start coming in and I start dunking on people. I have an amazing performance. I win, and I'm like, all right, I got to go back to sleep. Like, what? That's it? That's all we get? You won the rap battle. Congratulations. Now go back to work in the factory. Like, that's it? That's all you got?
If you want a happy ending, you're probably...
It's not a happy...
he wins the battle. There's catharsis there. Like,
what I'm saying is,
he explodes. He lets loose the tension.
It is a happy ending.
Right, but it's not a successful ending for his life.
Exactly.
You know, I wouldn't even add like Future's like proposition at the end. You're expecting him to say something like really great. He's like, yo, how would you feel about hosting the battles with me? I'm like, what? Like, that's my rule. I don't want to host a battle. What? I need to get out the trailer park. Like, that's not going to, like, what are you talking about hosting a battle?
And that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm going back to work.
Ultimately, my biggest problem with the film is that it ultimately, from the perspective of 33-year-old Moulz, ends up being a rather low-stakes affair by the end of it. You're just like, oh, that's it?
You know, I was telling you I was going to save this for when we discussed it on the air. You know, I've always been okay with the ending because I feel like for even though it's a movie, it's realistic as an ending because it's like, yeah, you're not going to get signed off of this battle. There aren't any like scouts in there, A&Rs. Like, yeah, you got to go back to work. You had old boy take your shift. Like, you got to go back to the plant, you know? But I realized something that I think would have been a more likely end. Like, I think, so what I'm saying is the implication as he's walking off, going back to work, I think it's supposed to be implied like, you know, whether a matter of weeks or months, he goes back to the plant, he has the extra shifts, he saves up money, he buys his own studio time instead of going through like that weaselly Two-Face guy. He records a demo, he becomes successful, he turns into an Eminem-like character, right? Like, that's sort of the implication, I would think, by the ending. But you know what I now think would be a more likely thing that happened after the end of the movie that we don't see, like after the credits roll? Like, what's assuming that? This was a real world. What I think would happen is they would go back to the trailer park and they would kill B-Rabbit.
Oh, shit.
You just, like, deconstructed Papa Doc's entire mystique, embarrassed him. in front of like everyone that matters in that community. Like, we know they beat you up before. They're not just gonna. It's not. Listen, if this is really Detroit, it's not gonna be like the movie where you put the bully in their place and they're like, you know what?
So this shit could have been uncut gems, basically.
Yes, like in a regular Hollywood movie, they're like, yeah, you know what, white boy, you pretty cool. But no, this is Detroit. He got beat up, bro, earlier, and like sir, Papa Doc lost. He choked. He like froze up. Didn't have anything to say. He passed the mic. I'm thinking in his mind, he's like, yo. F this battle. I'm finna go kill this man. Like, okay, that's how you want to play it? You want to embarrass me in front of everybody? Like, yeah, he went back to work. He went home. They know where he lives. And they killed him for making fools of them in front of everybody. I think that's a likely story, you know? And I don't even want to think like that because that's not a happy ending. But I think, honestly, that's probably what could have happened.
Well, Eminem actually had an idea for what would happen.
Did he?
I just sent you an interesting factoid in the chat.
Wow, okay, well, let me read this. Okay, 8 Mile was originally considered to have an unofficial follow-up movie titled Southpaw, with Eminem reprising his role now as a down-on-his-luck lightweight left-handed boxer trying to regain custody of his daughter. The script eventually evolved and that idea was scrapped. However, the film was eventually made and was released in 2015, right, with Jake Gyllenhaal starring in the lead role with Eminem producing the soundtrack. I saw that movie.
Oh, really? How was it?
I recall it being pretty good. I liked it. Wow, so he was in the he was going to be a boxer suddenly instead of a rapper?
So I guess ultimately you take it from the rap battles to a real, the boxing ring. Probably, start going to some underground fights.
Listen, I don't know if I'm buying that. Listen, your mom's boyfriend who's your age in the trailer kitchen is a different kind of fight than a professional boxer.
Yeah, and he got into a fight with Michael Shannon, so he thinks now he could start whooping people. Between Papa Doc and Michael Shannon, he's feeling like he's untouchable. He has a kid with the Brittany Murphy character, and he loses custody.
Brittany Murphy character went off to New York, so he probably would get back with Janine.
Well, no, he would go. No, he would go to New York to train.
Oh,
he would train at in like Brooklyn at like a boxing gym in Brooklyn. Bro, I'm telling you, the shit would be absolute trash.
I tell you what, though.
R.I.P. to Brittany Murphy, though. Maybe if
of course,
if she were still with us, that would happen, and maybe it wouldn't be trash. But
rest in peace to Brittany Murphy.
In the absence of Brittany Murphy, the idea of doing all of that seems a bit much.
Whether it's Southpaw, where he's suddenly a boxer, or Mel's imagined ending to 8 Mile, he's dying either way. He's either dying in the boxing ring or he's dying outside his trailer.
He's not dying in the boxing ring. He's just going to get his face rearranged. No, he gets his face rearranged like CM Punk, and the movie ends with him getting a job on WWE backstage on FS1.
All right, man. Yeah, there are... Overall, it works as a movie. And what I want to bring up and I don't think should be overlooked? They could have really fumbled these rap scenes. Because, a lot of times where Hollywood approaches the subject with people who don't understand the subject, and say you as a viewer, you do understand. You're like, that's not what a basketball game would be like. Or like, that's not what a rap battle would be like. I think the battles are pretty accurate.
Well, interestingly
as a
enough,
rap fan, you're like, yo, that was a nice line, or like, yo, that was a hit, that was a punch, the lines work.
You know what it is too? The people, all those extras in the crowd, know how to rap. I don't know if you knew this, but
did not know that.
They did, the director to pass the time with all the extras had them freestyle, and whoever had the best freestyles, they had rappers go and do one shots with Eminem where he would kind of mime his reactions to things, but when it's because they don't have to have the other actor on set the whole time.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was, Eminem is supposed to save his voice for scripted scenes, not for one shots. But he couldn't resist the challenge. So eventually, like, the crowd kind of egged him on, as the story goes, and he started freestyling for real against all of these people that were chosen as the extras for the one shots. So
wow.
The energy in the room is real energy, and
it feels real. Feels like
the camera pans back during the penultimate battle, and you see,
where he's like, everybody from the 313, and they throwing their hands up, and
it's
rocking in there, man. Like,
yeah, so
that doesn't feel like a movie anymore.
Curtis Hanson and Eminem really, he really kept all of the extras from getting bored. There were hundreds of people that tried to get into this thing. Apparently 134 freestyles, and they narrowed it down to 4 freestyles for the one shots.
Wow. Huh. Listen, you have to think something like that pays off, and you don't want to take it for granted, because you can bring in a rapper of the caliber of Eminem and then not listen to him, when he tells you how rap battles would actually go, and end up with a piece of crap, but clearly he had some involvement.
I have one more interesting fact for you.
Okay.
Did you know at one point in time Quentin Tarantino was attached to direct this film?
Did not.
He was in discussions with the studio, but he was working on Kill Bill Volume 1 at the time, so he couldn't take on the commitment.
Okay.
That's how it ended up going to Curtis Hanson. I believe there were other directors that were considered at one point.
I wonder what a Tarantino 8 Mile would have been like.
A lot more dialogue than what we got.
I was going to say more dialogue heavy, but I think the dialogue would have been snappier. We wouldn't have had Mekhi Phifer saying what he was saying about they won't care if you're white. Like their line, like Eminem has a line where he's like, very movie-esque quote where he's like, yo, man, I guess we all need to be pushed sometimes. Like, no one would say that in real life. I think Tarantino would have cleaned that kind of stuff up, made it sound like actual conversations. There's actually
if Tarantino directed the film, Uma Thurman would play Eminem's mom, and the only reason Kim Basinger is in the film is because the director, Curtis Hanson, directed the movie LA Confidential in 1997, and Kim Basinger got an Oscar for her performance in that film. So, it's kind of like, all right, let's get the homie in here.
Right. Okay. Shout out to Kim Basinger doing her best, even if she was perhaps
I would say no. I'm not going to shout her out. She's one of my 2 main problems with the film. I'm not going to shout someone out for doing too much. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Oh, man. Well, I know what. If you don't mind, I like to. It's a sort of a mini segment, if you will.
A mini segment in the mini segment.
A mini segment in the mini segment, kind of. I think this is a good idea. This Moulz Mel the movie. So I got something. These are. I just wanted to make
okay.
note.
Well, congratulations. Welcome on board.
Yeah, I'm seeing the vision, as the kids say. But I just want to. I guess I'll wrap up on my end with just moments in the movie that made Mel laugh. Just because whether they were absurd or just actually humorous. Because I think the funny thing about me, to sort of call back to the beginning of this episode, even though I don't have a preferred genre, I think I probably watch comedies the least. Although I love comedy. Because it seems like whenever you set out to make a comedy, when you're trying to tell jokes, it can almost get exhausting. It's like, all right, joke after joke after joke. I like my humor to just sort of be sprinkled, or
just show up unexpectedly almost.
Right. So I usually find dramas, dark comedies, things of that nature to be the best humor.
Is Goodfellas not one of the funniest movies of all time?
Right. That kind of humor. It's good stuff. It's not a comedy, but it can be if you watch it a certain way. So these are moments that made me laugh in 8 Mile. Because, actually sitting at home laughing, something getting you to laugh as you're sitting at home is not easy. It's easier to laugh in a theater, like the social sort of pressure, I guess. Everyone's just like, you're feeding off the energy. But like to get me to laugh just sitting alone in bed, it's pretty big accomplishment. So let me see. What made me laugh in this movie? I'll tell you what made me laugh in this movie. Them sort of battling, and Free World shows up, and they start standing on cars trying to look tough. Like, this is the instance where I'm like, I'm watching a movie. Because in real life, bro, who's like, no one's coming into Detroit and he's hitting on the car. Yo, Free World here. Like, and we calling all y'all out. Who think they can rap better than us? It's like, what? This is a grown man standing on a car. What also made me laugh, Papa Doc pulling out the ratchet. Which makes sense, though, because at the end, we find out he's from a private school. If he was a real gangster, he would have restraint. He wouldn't just be pulling out a gun.
Which leads to your theory of why he might go and kill B. Rabbit. He doesn't follow...
because he's insecure.
Right, and he doesn't know about, he's not trying to keep shit on wax. He's not really about, like, he's not doing it for hip-hop. He's all, like, he's doing it for clout. He's trying to get the clout of being the biggest, like, most, like, feared battle rapper in Detroit.
Right. So what do you think an insecure small man's going to do after being, like, laughed out of the building?
I like your ending better.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I
like it better. I hate this ending of this movie. It's just, all right, great. Like, congrats on winning a fake thing. It's not even a real thing. Like,
it hits better when you're.
You didn't win the Olympics, bro. Like, you didn't. Like, there's no record that this even happened.
Right. Like, exactly. It's like, this is just another night at the shelter. They're probably going to forget it in like a couple weeks. Maybe.
Like, this is even pre-social media, so it's not like, yo, he went viral with that battle.
It just happened.
It happened. It was 1995. It happened, and then they forgot about it by like a week or two later. It was just...
They probably had a longer attention span because it was 95. So, like, that's why I say a few weeks. They were like, yeah, that white boy came up and killed it, didn't he? And
then they
killed him. But eventually they'll forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they killed him, in my version.
Yeah.
Cheddar Bob, when he says, like, those free world bitches, that made me laugh.
Cheddar Bob is the funniest person in the entire movie, probably on purpose, right?
He's like comic relief.
Yeah.
There are lots of, like, there's classic movie elements here. I mean, there's a love interest. You got the shady character who, like, betrays him. Comic relief. There's an antagonist with Papa Doc and I guess, what I think of when I see Michael Shannon? My stepdad. Like, he's that character from the Eminem song Stepdad. And of course, Eminem being relatable. Only a couple more things that made me laugh. Basically, this is a deep cut if you actually listen to Rap Rankings. The two-faced guy, I was like, it hit me as I was watching. The dude who was like promising him studio time and ended up screwing his girl. I'm like, yo, this is Daniel.
Oh, man.
That's who this is. This is Daniel. Last thing is
that's one of the scenes they cut out of the TV version, I imagine.
Oh yeah, him. Right. That's what I was implying. Like when they have sex in the studio.
Yeah, I think it probably starts with the confrontation.
Yeah, right. Just starts with him like, yeah, he runs in there and starts beating him up. Kim Basinger, his mom, talking about Greg. Michael Shannon won't go down on me, and Eminem's like, Mom, I don't want to hear that. It's gross. I wouldn't want to hear it either.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, you didn't catch it? Yeah, it's like they really just threw it in there seemingly for humor because it was like it had nothing to do with anything. Like, because he walks in and you think like she's like real downcast, like something happened, and he's like, "Oh, it's my sex life."
You want to know? Like, you want to know something though? The scene where she leaves, where he leaves her, and Eminem comes home, and she's like like kind of like a little out of it and
a little drunk and
he tries to like walk her to the bed and like she goes on the bed and like I thought her performance in that scene was actually a lot better than all of the other scenes she was in. Like the emotion came through a little bit more for me there.
Yeah, I thought that was a great scene. I thought she did a great job with that. Yeah, I think she played the desperate, like the woman who's desperate for support and love and affection. Yeah. And Eminem is like, yo, you can get all that stuff yourself. Like stop waiting around for this slime ball guy.
Yeah, you can win unrecorded, unregistered, unviral battles that have no actual meaning in life.
Yeah, I guess final thing I'll point out that made me laugh is when they showed up to jump him. They were like, you ready to get knocked out though? Like, that's actually kind of scary. Like, feels like definitely some writer in a writer's room came up with that. Like, I don't think no one would say that in real life. But if they did, I would be terrified. Like, if someone just flat out was like, yo, you ready to get knocked out though?
I think, like, no, of course I think someone would say that. I think someone would say it. You've never been in a fight.
I've never been in a fight, so I'm going to take your word for it.
I think it's realistic enough. People say a lot of dumb shit when they're about to get into a fight.
That adrenaline,
exactly
gets you hyped up. But yeah, that's pretty much. There were probably other moments, but I'll save it for some other conversation down the line. 8 Mile, 8 out of 10 for me. I almost said 8 out of 8.
Well, 7 out of 10 for me, giving us a Moulz Mel at the movies weighted rating of a 7.5 out of 10.
How many stars would that be? It's like what?
7.5 out of 10.
Three
and 3/4. Right?
Yeah, 3.75. Out of
3
5.
and 3/4 stars out of 5. So put that in your projector and smoke it because this is Moulz Mel at the movies. Hit my motherfucking music.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot, gladly. Oh, I gotta load it back in. I didn't know he was gonna be playing it again. All right, here we go. Loading it back in. See y'all in the next edition. This was fun. Here we go.
This has been Moulz Mel at the movies. 8 Mile, 7.5 out of 10. Join us next week as we get high and go back to high school with Mac and Devin Go to High School, starring Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg. How will this film measure up? Only one way to find out, gang. You gotta tune in to Moulz Mel at the movies, a subsidiary of Rap Rankings.
Hey, it's Mel from Rap Rankings. To hear the full episode this clip comes from and all of the other episodes, check the link in the description, stop by raprankings.com, or search Rap Rankings on your favorite podcast platform. And please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting to help us grow the channel and continue our journey as hip-hop's first and premier extreme podcast.